Today we are going to discuss the video about argumentation that we watched.
If you haven't watched it yet, please do before you watch the rest of this video. This form argumentation is a little different from the one you are going to write. However, it gives you a good introduction to some of the features of an argument. So we are going to discuss some of the areas that need to be developed.
Let's discuss the first argument. Now remember, you need to have a counter-argument. That is, you need to show why you disagree with one side of the argument. So the first argument is whether the program can really detect plagiarism. So the woman begins her counter-argument by conceding that the program may not really detect plagiarism. She is hoping that whether it detects plagiarism or not is not really the argument. She feels that the strength of the program is that it helps students see that they have copied a lot and maybe they should think about that.
The man has his own counter-argument, that detecting large amounts of copying is not really the problem. Our problem is when students only copy a little bit.
I have another question. Do you think these arguments are well developed?
That's a good question. Because these videos are very short, none of the arguments are particularly well developed. Both sides would have to give examples of what the program can and can't do.
Also, notice in the man's argument that he is addressing what he thinks are the values of his audience. That is a group of teachers who feel that not all kinds of copying are the same and should be judged the same. Of course, if the audience felt that all copying was bad, this would not be a good argument. He concludes with an alternative approach: create interesting assignments, although again he does not explain what those kinds of assignments are.
Hi, this is Tony. In the next part of the argument about whether there has been an increase in plagiarism, they seem to be taking opposite positions. Is this a good strategy?
Both sides are giving commonly held beliefs that are difficult to prove. There is very little data on either side. But if one side could provide some data, they would have a better argument. For example, I would look at the number of cases brought to the Committee on Academic Misconduct and see if there has been an increase. If there has been, that would be a stronger argument, at least at Ohio State.
The woman does make an argument that many people believe, although it may not be true, that plagiarism is simply easier in the age of the internet.
How do you phrase when you are in agreement with the opposite side?
Notice when the woman argues that the court ruled that it was legal, she uses a dependent clause beginning with the word although to show that her agreement was not as important as her disagreement. That is a good example of when you use dependent clauses in an argument.
The man too responds by suggesting an alternative approach that would go around the issue. He is assuming that the woman agrees with him that the primary use of the program is to help students and not catch them cheating.
I think I heard the woman use the expression dash, as some people claim. Is that a good strategy?
Don't you have to cite someone?
Very good. You can get away with that in an informal argument. But in your papers, you would have to cite where you got that information. Remember, the more citations, the more you show that people agree with you, and that is the most important thing.
In the final argument, the woman sets up her counter-argument by showing that the argument she is opposing is impossible in the real world. Professors cannot always, and shouldn't necessarily be expected to, create plagiarism equals proof assignments.
His counter-argument is that he is still concerned that professors will use the program primarily to catch students cheating. He could go on to develop his argument that the university would not have spent all that money to simply develop a tool for helping students with their paraphrasing. She too concludes with an argument that needs to be developed. She would need to develop an argument about why the staff should be trusted.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions today. If you have any more questions, let me know.
Thanks for your help.
Yay, thanks.